So the first thing I do every morning is, most mornings, my husband shares this job with me, but we go and collect the eggs. But usually it's a bit tricky because the girls don't necessarily lay early in the colder months. So sometimes, look what we've got here. Broken egg. Alright, I need to clean that up. Okay, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that because that looked to me like it was pecked. It looked like somebody had a feed off it. So the girls have not done that before, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. And they haven't finished laying this morning. So I've got 5 chickens, and we get about 4 a day at the moment, 3 to 4 a day. Just depends if it's really cold. Sometimes we're getting 2. But they are still laying when a lot of chickens aren't laying. So live gardening is observation. So I put some cuttings in recently, and fairly weedy plants that should look after themselves. But I've got some peppermint. I was just checking on it. I've promised some to my hairdresser, and looks like that one's coming up there. So all these sticks are the cuttings, and they look dead, but they'll probably be fine. And I've got it happening here, so they're looking okay. And then I've got some currant cuttings here, and they are looking okay. That one looks, it's really hard to tell cuttings with currants because they go dormant, but I'm sure they'll be fine. I did that a little while ago. So look, see there is a root coming out of there, so they may have already got roots on them. So I'll keep an eye on that to make sure I don't need to take them out of there and give them bigger pots soon. They're calendula seedings that looking a bit like they need to be out of there, but everything else looks pretty good. And this is the mulberry which I dug out of the beds, the big wire cage that we've got, and that looked like it died back with all the leaves all kind of dried off like this, and then it sprouted new leaves, so that's happy in there. I planted these for Mother's Day. They should be hyacinths, but they hadn't come up, so I'm going to give a gift to my mother for a birthday. She's probably not watching, so I'm safe to say that. I'm going to put something together for her because she loves the garden. I've got 2 beds that I need to revamp and clear up and harvest from, see what's in there, and a few experiments. So I'm just going to show you one of them at the moment and show you what I'm doing to that, and the two experiments I did in that. So this is what I call bed number 2. So I have named some and numbered some of my areas. So this is bed number 2, and I'll just show you what I did in there. So it's had a lot of things go in and out this bed. So I've got a mix of perennial and annual plants, and what I've decided is I need to kind of group them up a little bit more. So group up the perennial plants, or the plants that grow like perennials. They might be annual, but they self-sow easily, and so that when I'm topping the beds up, it's not so difficult. So these beds are kind of 3/4 full, and I actually want to increase the depth on these. That involves either lifting or harvesting things that are still going. Now this is the type of year where most things are finishing or finished. The tomatoes are just like, they're done. They're just refusing to ripen now, what's left in there. So I can lift them up. The beans in there are finished, and but I've still got like things like radishes growing. They have self-sown, and I've deliberately let that go to self-sow because they're daikon radishes, which I've decided are probably the nicest radishes you can have. I've got some spring onions in there, which I recently moved just to save them from another garden that was being put in, and the raised beds that we put in. Now there's lots of things hiding, like that's a beetroot hiding in there. I don't remember planting it, it probably self-sowed. I do have a lot of oxalis coming through. Now that's been a issue with these particular beds since inception. It was contaminated soil that, well, when I say contaminated, it had oxalis in it that my husband put in when he first put the beds in, and then it was just let to run wild. Now we have mulched, but they keep coming through, so I'm going to mulch again to just keep them back. But did you know that you can eat it? And it's got a nice lemon flavour, so you can actually put these in the salads. My chickens will eat a bit of this, even though they're not inclined to like a lemon flavour. They eat these, but yeah, pretty much all oxalis, or I should say not pretty much, all oxalis, as far as I understand, is edible. So there's that. The black currant is one of the cuttings that I took. I took the cuttings off that, and you can see that the leaves are finishing on this, and it takes up quite a bit of room in that bed. Now, this could go anywhere outside a bed, and they do get quite large. You know, you're looking at, well, mine grows to about 1 metre wide, tall. So I'm looking to remove that from the bed, and I'm reluctant to move the rhubarb, but that does take up a bit of room and kind of shelters everything around it. So this is my oldest rhubarb, which I've kept on moving plants from, but I am at the stage where I need the raised beds for other things, and this could be settled under a fruit tree or just in the open garden, so it doesn't need to be in the raised bed. So there's some of the things that I'm really looking at now. Now let me show you one of the experiments. Now, I planted a bit of corn in here late, and there was an interruption to the gardening, so I kind of didn't watch it, and I ended up only with, what is there, two plants. One is just not going to do anything. It hasn't got time to do anything. It's this tiny thing here. And then one tried to grow in its time, it had, and it's got two corns on it, but they usually grow in groups. Grow them in groups so that they get pollinated. So all of the pollination from the top, all of this floats down and helps pollinate the kernels inside. But what I did is I thought I'll just let it go. When I saw it was happy, I thought I'll just let it go, and I will shake this. So I'd get the top and shake it like this, let it fall down and touch here and here, and see if it would make me corn. This one little plant make me corn. So far it's looking okay. They're not really big, but I'll let it go for a bit longer and see if it'll keep growing, and then we'll see if it actually gives us a couple of little corns. But it would be interesting to see how much hand pollinating like that helps if you've only got a few. Now, the other experiment was, I had corn growing in here the previous year, and I kept the actual corn stalks in, which is here, like bamboo stakes, and I wondered if they would be strong enough, because it's very much like bamboo, and I wondered if they would be strong enough, because that's quite strong, for a trellis. So I TP'd them, tied it at the top, but the roots eventually gave way. So I would normally cut these just below the surface and let the roots die back into the soil, but I thought I'd try that. So it definitely probably would work if I put a stake of some sort to support them, and it might have held out. And you can see there was at one stage I tied it up there, hoping to hold it up, and then just the wind blew it down. And then I've got some beans growing all the way up the top there. I'm waiting for those bean seeds to grow on next year. So sunny. So what I have found is if I've grown something that hasn't done that well, those beans were fine, they gave me some beans, but if the first year they don't do so well and I let them go to seed, the seeds from that parent plant usually do 10 times better the next year. So it's not a total waste of time. If you've got something that you plant and it just bolts to seed, like I bought a coriander plant, and I planted it, went straight to seed in the summertime, but I collected the seeds and used those seeds, and then that grew on better plants for me next time. I also had some watermelon radish seeds, and they grew little watermelon radishes the first year and didn't do that great. Now immediately the soil would be better the following year, so that there is that too, but I didn't get to them and they did go to seed and fall to the ground, and the next year those radishes were probably 3 times the size and grew very quickly, and I didn't even have to watch them. They just grew by themselves. And I know that radishes are pretty easy to grow, like they're pretty quick to grow. They were a little bit stubborn that first year, but after that it grew quickly the next time. What I didn't do though is I forgot to let it do the same, so I have no more seeds. I have a very pretty pelargonium in a pot, and this is something that I do in gaps or just for convenience. I put pots sometimes inside the garden so that they get watered, or I think to water them, or they catch a bit of water from the sprinklers in here. So kind of keeps it going when I'm busy, just to throw them in there. So because I didn't have a lot in that corner, that kind of kept that going. Not that they need a lot of water, but it was a plant that I just absolutely love. It's very pretty when it's in full flower, and I'm going to take that out and plant it throughout my garden. Eventually I have taken some cuttings off that. I've got it growing up on the veranda here and it's doing okay. So it's a little cutting on the go here. I might have put it in the garden somewhere too. I think I put it over near the chook pen as well, but it's so pretty I wouldn't mind it throughout the garden a bit. There is a few things more left in here, or one or two. Corn salad. So I've deliberately let them go to seed, and so they're through here a bit. Looks like I might be able to pick that radish. It is. Let me see if I can get the camera in there. So there's one in there. Best size to pick them is apparently when the size of a carrot. These ones here looking a little bit small, but there is one ready, and it doesn't take long for them to be ready. We've got these tomatoes trying to ripen still. This is aroma. I had these funky things happening to it here where they kind of looked like that, and I don't know why it did that. If you know why it did that, I'm unfamiliar with that, but yeah. So as you see, it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, but that's fine. It's a bit like a tangled mess, but I can see that if I remove a couple of those perennials and harvest a little bit and lift up a few things to put back maybe in or put somewhere else, I have another bed, and I'll be able to prepare that ready for my spring planting. So I may not put anything in that and I'll just fill it, mulch it, let it settle down, and or I might even put in a green manure. Actually, I've got some green radishes. I might throw those in and do a green manure, so which I haven't done in a full bed before. Now normally I interplant and I pull things out, like harvest things, and then replace the gaps, and I try and keep the beds pretty full because open soil is dead soil. And so I either mulch or put something in there, and those beds have stayed fairly chock-a-block full. So but I am looking, going, I'm putting a lot of winter vegetables in, and I do still have to keep in my mind where am I going to put the summer vegetables too. So yeah, I have grown a few tomatoes in there, so I don't worry too much about rotating beds. I haven't had any issues as yet, so I think it's because there's so many different plants, and the microorganisms have, like, it's just a big city down there under that soil, and I think they're looking after the soil really well. But yeah, that oxalis needs to go, I think. So that's just a quick one. I'll update you when I have started that, and might even do a very quick in action video of amending that bed and get that ready, and then we'll move on to another bed that is very full. It's really hard for me to work on these beds when they look that pretty though. Like, I don't want to rip anything out, but I do know that in this one there's some yacon that I can harvest, which is one of my favourite vegetables now. I just love eating yacon. That over there is ready to go. Okay, you can come out now. Off you go. Off you go. Go play. Up your little tunnel into the new green room.